underdog story. I love to watch people overcome the odds to achieve the kinds of things that most of us only dream about. David had some advantages, though, when it came to defeating and killing the Philistine giant Goliath. He certainly had a limitation prophecy spoken over him by his family. He was the runt, the youngest one, the tender of the sheep. Although this was an important job in the family circle, his older brothers were out doing much more important things for the family. They served in the military. They defended God's people against enemy armies. While the older brothers were out saving the world, the youngest was stuck at home, seemingly serving his entire family. Although David's family situation was ripe for resentment, it seems that neither David nor his brothers were particularly bothered by the roles they played. Perhaps it's because the culture had clear expectations for sons within their designated birth orders. But David perceived his lot in life as a training ground for what could happen in his future. Limitation prophecies were not the end of David's story, and they're not the end of ours either. Words are powerful. They shape the way that we see God and others, and they certainly shape the way that we see ourselves. Although we may attempt to downplay the effects of words with expressions such as sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, the reality is that words can devastate a human being from the inside out. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus had something to say about the power of our words. What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them. Matthew chapter 15, verse 11. Life-giving words are freedom, but even when we think the world should be a different place, a limitation prophecy can bind us to the social reality we live in. It can box us in. Boxed in. When I was 5 years old, I remember standing in my bedroom gathering my clothes. Flannel shirt, check. Long jeans, check. Farm boots, check. Everything I thought I would need to bale hay that day. Even though we baled hay in pretty hot temperatures, it was critical to cover all parts of the body that you didn't want scratched. I slipped into my blue jeans and pulled on a white undershirt and was getting ready to ask my mom to braid my hair when my older brother Jason said to me, "What do you think you're doing?" "I'm getting ready, same as you," I piped back. My brother was nearly 3 years older than I was, but because I had grown faster than he had, we were almost the same height. "Will Dad let you bale hay?" he asked. Let me? The thought had never crossed my mind that Dad would not let me bale hay. There was hay to bale and hands to help. And wherever there was work to do on the farm, nearly everyone was needed to chip in. "Of course Dad will let me," I said. Then Dad came into the house and said, "Jason, let's go." "Dad," I yelled, "I'm almost ready too." I came out of my room dressed and ready to go. All I needed were my farm boots. "Rach," Dad said, "what do you think you're doing? You can't bale hay." "But Dad," I protested, "I'm just as big as Jason. I can help." "Rachel, I don't have time to keep an eye on you. And besides, we got plenty of help today." Dad rattled off the names of all the men and boys in the neighborhood whom he had enlisted to help bale hay that day. I'm sure I threw a fit and attempted to manipulate my way into baling. Finally, my dad, in exasperation, said, "No, Rachel, baling hay is no place for a young girl like yourself." Those words hit me like a ton of bricks. I knew, even at 5 years old, that they were meant to keep me in my place. At the time, I wasn't aware of the beer drinking, tobacco chewing, lewd joking culture that neighborhood men fully embraced when baling hay. I just knew that my help wasn't wanted because I wasn't a boy. Translation: little girls don't bale hay. A fierce anger grew within me. I tried to reason with my mom, but she wouldn't hear it. She had other plans for me. I'm sure that I was assigned to pick green beans or to pick bugs off potato plants. Whatever it was, my family was telling me that certain genders do certain work. Even though I didn't believe what they were saying, I began to step into a limitation prophecy that I would struggle with my whole life. Our culture has a lid for your life, your gender. Have you ever had a limitation prophecy spoken over you? Words that limited your view of yourself and the world you find yourself in? Such messages are not limited to race or gender or ethnicity. Perhaps it's when you grew up, the hand you were dealt in life, a certain circumstance that was beyond your control. But whatever your lot in life, with just some simple words, someone told you to stay put, remain in your place, and you felt the box closing in on you. These limiting words in our lives are not always direct. Sometimes they are passed from generation to generation. The family way. I came from a long line of women who had to battle for their fears. Both of my grandmothers were bold and still are. My paternal grandmother, Ruby, could cuss the flowers off a wall.